This week on Pop of Culture, we look to the future of the arts in Muncie.
It's right here. I think we have more ability to make money in the arts than we even realize.
We'll also host our book club, and we'll get an early start on our holiday cards.
That's coming up on this encore edition of Pop of Culture.
Support for Pop of Culture comes from you. You've probably heard that Congress has defunded public media. For Ball State Public Media, that's 40% of our funding, about $1.4 million. So if you value this program, created by and focused on folks in your community, then now's the time to step up. This show will not exist without you. Become a monthly donor now at indianapublicradio.org.
From IPR, this is Pop of Culture. I'm Kara DuQuette.
And I'm Michelle Kinsey. This week, we're listening back to some of our favorite interviews this season.
Later this hour, it's not too late to jump into a book before summer ends.
But first, let's enjoy our interview with Ann Johnson.
She's a lifelong artist, and Ann helped put Muncie on the map with her former company, FB Fogg. And we are just really delighted to have you here with us today, Ann.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here. I'm so proud of Pop of Culture. We need this. We need this, yes.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. We enjoy doing it. Could you tell us a little bit about how you first became connected to the Muncie art scene, or kind of made the Muncie art scene?
Well, long before you were born, I came to Muncie in 1967 with my husband and two small children. At that time, we didn't have Pampers. I had a lot of cotton diapers, and that created a lot of nice white cotton lint in my dryer, which made me think, hey, don't throw this away. This is great, beautiful stuff. So what I did is I took the lint from my dryer and I attempted to make some handmade paper. Yes, I thought I was going to paint on it. I discovered that I had made a gooey mess and that it worked better for sculpture. So I began sculpting things. It was an interesting time in my life. I was a single woman. Feminism was just in the wind. Men didn't have to support the women they walked away from. It was either do or die. And so I knew that these things had to become something. I fortunately did have a teaching license. And as I will tell people, teaching has been my life. So I began to teach probably in every school in the Muncie community and Delaware County also. And as I carried clay to one room and water to another, I knew that there was wonderful white lint waiting for me at home and sculpture to be made. I started with a cow clock. Fortunately, that cow clock was sent to Washington, and a friend of mine was getting married at the Ritz-Carlton, and everybody fell in love with this crazy sculptured head of a cow with a tongue that went back and forth, and the hands were the feelers. So, of course, I got 60 orders. Now, that started me. I immediately said, let's use my students and let's start sculpting clocks. And if a cow is good, a pig is better, and a dog is great. So we were off and running. That kind of started my art life in Muncie. At that time, it was being done on my kitchen table on the White River. And finally, it grew into my family room and into my kids' bedrooms and eked out of the garage, and UPS was picking up clocks right and left, and we decided, yep, let's move downtown. So I began a search for a studio downtown where I found the old men's club. It was created by Earl Meeks, and it was a building that had no windows. That studio brought other artists to downtown Muncie. Every Saturday I would have a salon and invite other artists to show within it was kind of a shop, kind of a workroom. We would create clocks in the back room, and in the front I would bring things back from my travels. And we filled it kind of as a shop. You would be taken to another world because, of course, as I said, there was no windows. So when you walked in, the world of Fogg would envelop you. But anyway, the art scene at that time in downtown Muncie was ripe to do something. We have been so fortunate always in this area because we are heavy in really talented people, whether they be poets, writers, musicians, or, of course, the visual arts.
It's true.
I wanted to make a space for the visual arts. And so FB Fogg became that space. I became known as the Lint Lady of Muncie and traveled the continent, been to 44% of the world with my clocks, and I've had an excellent life in doing that. However, I find in retirement, I don't stop needing to keep pushing the arts in downtown Muncie, and that's what I'm into now.
I have so many questions. Were there more than just clocks at Fogg? That's one of my questions.
Yes, of course. Once you start something, one thing creates another, and you'll find that almost with all artists, it leads them to different things. I went so far as making life-size figures, and as I walked into your studios this morning, I saw the Bob Ross. That kind of figure is not foreign to me. The huge figures that we did for many of the malls, the Mall of America, the IDS building in downtown Minneapolis, Dallas, et cetera, Las Vegas. In fact, I was just in Las Vegas last week checking out my sculpture in the Forum Mall, and it's alive and well, which is good for me to see that, we're talking 25, 30 years hence.
Wow. I have to ask, okay, as a visual artist myself, and I've used dryer lint to make paper, did you continue with the dryer lint in the sculpture throughout?
Well, one of the things that happened to me early on in my career is, of course, we were using the lint, and it was really fun to say, oh, that's made of lint, and that blew people's minds. But anyway, when I got into mall sculpture, large mall sculpture, suddenly I was put upon by all sorts of federal regulations. One, it had to be fireproof. Two, it had to be waterproof. Three, they had to be still the lightweight materials, but they could not be harmful to any person or thing by touching them. And so I had to develop a new formula, which I did. And I started using linters from the cotton plant, beating our own pulps. We made them in circles and cast them that way in dyed colors because when you're going to sculpt with something, you don't want sharp contours. You want it to be easy to work with. And so we would make an armature of all sorts of different things. People used to laugh, what's that paper cup for? Oh, that's his nose. And it went from there. It was, if you walked by me with something, I usually would grab it and say, oh, that'll make a good arm, or et cetera. But so we used a lot of what we know now as insulation foam. But I had a foam machine, and actually the company that sold me the foam machine would send people from all over the United States to see what their foam could do because they were really surprised. We learned to sculpt with it.
Ah, that is so fabulous. That gives me a better idea of how the Fogg creations came to be. And I know you are a lifelong artist, and you've done so many collaborations in Muncie. Can you talk about some of your favorites and some of the things you're doing now?
Well, one of the things that happened, because I had Fogg behind me, and with that success, financial as well as desirable success, which really surprised me as an artist. As an artist, you get really excited. When I sold one pair of earrings, I thought, go home and make 100 right away. But anyway, I started out and opened what we called Artworks, and that became a co-op. An artist co-op. We started out with 25 artists, and they each had a space of their own. They each had to donate 2 days a week, and we began to start making artwork available to the public. It was amazing. People treasured that place. And also, one of the things that was quite wonderful is the local people began to support us. And when that happened, I knew that there was a need for a place to show artwork in this town. It was easy for Fogg to put in the lightings and pay the rent and so forth. But before long, the artists were paying the rent. And before long, I was able to walk away from managing it and let the group of artists manage it themselves. I'm very happy to say it did last for 10 years. I think Muncie is now ripe for another Artworks. In our downtown Muncie, as a matter of fact, I'm really after the Ball Foundation. I'm really after the Community Foundation. Let me tell you, people see me coming and they go, oh, she wants money for the arts. But the thing about it is, yes, I do. And I do think it's time. Muncie's ripe again for a reoccurrence of a cooperative. I'm looking at empty buildings, and I'm talking to the owners of those empty buildings hard and fast. So far, nobody's bent, but I'm very tenacious.
I'm glad you are, because I know there are plenty of artists who would love to be part of such a co-op.
And need a place to show. Need a place to show. The community is so rich in this, visual arts, and they need to know where they can go to find these arts. A person saying, hey, I work in my studio and it's my living room and da-da-da, and I have this art. But the thing about it is, how do you buy it? Where can I find it? I'm in charge of hanging the artwork at the hospital. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, the hospital has been so good to us. They have allowed us to have the display space. We've had that for 4 years. Right now, in fact, the foundation person just informed me that over the last 4 years, we've made over $30,000 in sales for the artist. Now, that isn't a lot in the business world of art, but at the same time, that has enabled at least artists within our community to sell their visual artwork.
Yes, and it shows you how much of a desire there is for local art.
And I think that 1,000 people pass that daily, and out of those 1,000 people, a lot of them, we have orders to send things to Chicago and Washington and all sorts of different places. It reminds me of when I was at Fogg. The world is our oyster, and Muncie is right on the way to everywhere. We need to get after it.
We sure do. We spoke with Stephanie very recently, the program director at Cornerstone. And what do you think about that space for something like you're talking about?
I have always been a big supporter. I mean, Cornerstone for the Arts has been a cornerstone in Muncie.
Indeed.
And I'm going to be teaching there painting and printmaking and drawing and whatever else they want me to do, because I'm really behind them and want to get this program going. We have an interesting class that is on Tuesday mornings, which is called Open Studio. And that is of Stephanie's design. And the whole idea is that there will be me there, and I get to help people develop any of their skills that they might be interested in, whether it's oil painting or watercolor or printmaking or drawing or carving or whatever. It's kind of going to be good for me because it puts me back in that teaching mode, which I love very much. But at the same time, I think it gives a lot of freedom to the artists in the community.
You're listening to Pop of Culture, and we're listening back to our interview with longtime Muncie artist Ann Johnson. Ann founded the arts business known as FB Fogg. She visited us in the Pop of Culture studios in an incredible outfit. Well, I have to mention your garb. You are wearing a beautiful outfit today. Not to change gears, but it's gorgeous. Pinks, oranges, and I notice a lovely necklace. Can you tell us about that a little?
Well, I always say to people, my closet at Fogg will go on me. I've always made my own clothes. Since I was a small child, I learned to make clothes on a treadle Singer sewing machine. Now that is very foreign to most people, but you worked it with your feet, and by moving your feet back and forth, the needle went up and down, and that's how I learned to make clothes. It was, unfortunately, I am alive, and not unfortunately, fortunately, I am still alive. But when I began making clothes, it was for my dolls, and we were after the war, and good fabrics were hard to find, but you could find scraps. So my dolls had wonderful clothes, but of course my costumes were really costumes, and the people at school looked at me askance, but I have always done that. And so when I started Fogg and I had the ability, people would say, "Where did you get that?" And I said, "Oh, I made it." And they said, "Why don't you sell your clothes?" So I had a clothing line, yes. And people would fly into Indianapolis and come down to Muncie to have me create outfits for them, which was really fun. But as I said, that closet has still many of my clothes in it, and it will go on long beyond me. Lots of fun. So when you see me, you usually see me a little over the hill, but that's the way I like to dress.
Oh, that's wonderful. I is that one of the things in the open studio that someone could do? Work on their sewing with you?
Of
and
course.
pattern making?
That would be really fun. My patterns were all made out of paper bags. Why can't theirs be?
So over the years, do you feel like your art has evolved with your experiences and the things you're doing?
Well, any artist, I don't care whether they're a poet or a writer or a musician, visual artist, any artist takes that atmosphere that they're surrounded by, that lifetime of gathering and seeing and doing and being, and they make a world as they see it. And so, of course, that's why we get the unusual things we do. That's another reason why I think AI will only be a help to us and not a hindrance, because I know how art is really created. And the way it's really created is there has to be that thought and feeling that changes your world. So, of course, my world has changed. Oh, my goodness, my world has changed so much over the years, and I'm so grateful for all the experiences I've had. I won't even start to bore you with some of those. They're wild and woolly. But the thing about it is, I do think that in looking at my age at this time and the art I produce now has changed a great deal. Most of my work is done in painting. But I do feel that the richest part of what I have to share and give is in teaching. And that's interesting from the standpoint, when I look at my work, I compare it to work that I've done in the past, and I go, not so good. But when I am with a person and teaching them and helping them develop their ideas, oh, really good.
Well, I think it's pretty exciting that people can take some classes with you. And I also, we were talking about a space for people to create their art. Have you ever thought about, I've often thought maybe that Cornerstone and Mad Jacks could join forces and create some type of, I don't know, Uber space for arts.
I think that's really coming. I think all of the arts in Muncie need spaces and need places to work. But because we have two giant buildings sitting right next to each other. We need to make them work together and cooperate in any way we can.
That would be amazing. We could build like a physical bridge between the two. They're so close together.
Yes, and Cornerstone has developed a really fine maker's place. And so Magix doesn't need to repeat that, even though they call themselves the maker's place, but they have this space, such wonderful spaces that could be divided up. Now, of course, we've all got the problem of cost. And that's what we hope can be realized, that we don't need just the founding fathers or some dream maker that walks in and says, here's all the money in the world and we'll make you the little shops and do it. I think the artists can create them themselves, particularly if they're given the space. But that has to be worked out between the two buildings and how they can form those without destroying any of the money that needs to be made to keep those two buildings going. It takes a lot to keep a big building going. And that's one of the things I realized when I was at Fogg, that suddenly I'd moved out of the comfort of my little studio and into owning a building. And that has to have a lot of overhead. And of course, the artist can generate monies to fill that if given the opportunity. It's right here. I think we have more ability to make money in the arts than we even realize.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do have some infrastructure already that some areas don't. And as you said, a wealth of artists
Yes.
in our town.
And it's not so hard to make a business of art, and art the business.
Which I feel like you're definitely somebody who's figured that out. And I feel like that's something that artists are more interested in now than previously.
Yes.
The whole idea of the artist not making money is not tenable,
Well, we've left the hippie. We've left the hippie times, and we've moved on from that. We have realized that artists can be business people as well as visual people, and that they can learn how to promote their art, talk about their art, and sell their art. But they've got to be given a space and an opportunity to hang it and show it. I remember that this hasn't been so very long ago, but about 8 years ago at Magix, unfortunately, electricity went out. Who knows what or why in that whole big building. But you should have seen the number of people that were going through that art show with their own flashlights, holding up their phones with the flashlight on, looking at the artwork and buying it. It was a testament to the ability that we can do this.
Yes, where there's a will, there's a way.
For sure. It's very important that we realize that we are on the cusp of bringing downtown Muncie, actually the Muncie community, I don't even have to say just downtown. The south is into it, the north is into it, the east and west are into it. Look out, trains. Don't hold us up on the railroad track. We have art to make. But I really think that Muncie is at that point where a resurgence is happening. And of course, it's very interesting to look to the artists to bring that resurgence in. We're right on the way to every place. Let's make sure people come here and find us and are overjoyed and send others.
I would love for that to be the case, and I think we're all working towards that. And so happy that you're here working towards that, Anne. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Anne.
My pleasure.
We've been listening to our interview with Anne Johnson, recorded in 2024. This is Pop of Culture. I'm Kara DuQuette, And I'm Michelle Kinsey. This week, we're listening to some of our favorite recent interviews. And we always love checking in with the president of our book club, librarian Hannah Elliott, to see what she can't keep on the shelf. She spoke with Stephanie Weekman.
Hannah, I am really excited. It is summer reading season. I was one of those kids in the summer that used to stay up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning with a flashlight, hoping her parents didn't notice her reading. I do that even as an adult to my detriment. So I'm really excited about things. Let's start with, because it's summer, let's start with maybe some beach reads that are coming out that you're excited about.
Yes, it is going to be beach read season for sure. And I am certainly looking forward to that. And so a few weeks ago, Emily Henry's new book, Great Big Beautiful Life, just dropped. And I know you and I both have read this.
Yes.
I think it would be great for a beach read, even though it's already out. I feel like Emily, all her books are beach reads. But this one was just so good. And it is a little bit different than what she's been doing. Like, there's more depth to it. It's more... I felt like there was some thriller aspect to it.
Yes.
But I just felt like it was really wholesome and like the message was really good. And I think we need that this summer. So definitely check out Emily Henry's Great Big Beautiful Life. And then if you like that one, she has a ton of other ones that are perfect for beach reads, including one called Beach Read. So I think she's perfect for that. Another one coming up that I'm really, really excited about that I definitely feel like would fit is Taylor Jenkins Reid has a new one coming out called Atmosphere. And it is, in the 1980s, it's based around the space shuttle program. And basically the gist is it's like about the extraordinary lengths that we go to live and love beyond our limits. And there's some womanhood theme in there and all of that. She's great. I love her so much. I actually went on a TJR binge read earlier this year. So, that I think that one would be good too. I'm looking through my list here. I have too many, as always.
Okay, we can switch to a different genre.
Yeah,
if you want
I
to.
mean, there's all kinds of like romance. There's a new Allie Hazelwood coming out, which is set in Italy. So if you want to escape and you're into romance, that would be perfect for you. Allie is so popular in the romance world. If you're like me, I tend to want to read about murder and stuff on the beach.
Same. I'm a big mystery fan.
Yes. So, we have some of those on the radar. I don't know if you want to talk about thrillers specifically, but those could also be beach reads if you're into.
Why not? If people need to rage on the beach through books, let's give them a good title.
Okay. So there's several coming out that I'm excited about. Riley Sager has a new one called With a Vengeance that's coming out. I have Joyce Carol Oates has a new one called Fox that looks pretty interesting. It's kind of like a cat and mouse kind of chase, so that should be interesting. Lisa Jewell has one that's coming out, Don't Let Him In, that should be coming out this summer. And then if you're into the Thursday Murder book club books, Richard Osman has a new one called We Solve Murders that's different than that series, but he's supposed to be good too. And a lot of people check those out at my library, like that whole series and his books in general. So, and Riley Sager goes out all the time. So those are ones. The other one I'm really looking forward to, Holly Jackson, who did Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which is young adult, but she's releasing her first novel for adults. It's called Not Quite Yet Dead. And it's a twisty thriller about a young woman trying to solve her own murder. So I am looking forward to that. I'm curious to see, because I like her YA books, like how that translates into adult content. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. For people who like audiobooks, especially the ones who check out things, on the digital services, is there an audiobook that's come out recently or is about to come out, maybe read by the author or somebody famous that you hear good things about?
So I have just recently started getting into the audiobook game, and I know it's probably shocking because I work at a library. Okay, so I double checked myself just to be accurate. And yes, so Glennon Doyle, which if you don't know Glennon Doyle, you probably should because I think she's really great. But she did, Untamed, that was really popular a few years ago. Everyone was talking about it, and then she has her podcast. But they have her Abby Wambach and Amanda Doyle have a new book coming out this summer that's called We Can Do Hard Things. And it's a guidebook for being alive. And on the cover, it's like 20 answers to life's biggest questions. And it's basically to kind of help, they say fellow travelers find their way through life. But I just feel like with how stressful life is right now for us and everything going on in the world, like this seems perfect. And I double checked to make sure because I was like, man, this is an opportunity. But yes, Glennon and Abby and Amanda all are narrating that book. And I really liked Glennon's narration on Untamed. So that would be one I'm definitely going to keep an eye on. Especially because, I love it when the author themselves read the book because I'm just like, especially the nonfiction biographies, all of those. I just feel like, you're really getting to know someone. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. As far as like audiobooks for the spring and stuff, I mean, just in general, audiobooks are our biggest thing that goes out anymore. Our digital collections are just constant. There's constantly long waiting lists. I had one of Emily Henry's on. I still have it on. I placed it in January and I'm still like hundreds in line.
Wow.
So, all of those, I really like those for narration. There's been a few that I was like, not so much, the audiobook definitely is made or broken by the narrator.
Yes. Nice. The top of my to-read list for nonfiction is a book on Munchausen by proxy syndrome. So I should probably add something a little bit happier, like We Can Do Hard Things, to kind of balance the mix. For people who once we're reading outside and we're really excited and then we get sunburned and we need to come back inside, what are kind of the favorite summer programs that you have coming up at the library that we can join?
Oh, yes. So our summer reading program kicks off on June 2nd. And this summer for us, at least, our reading component is Superhero Reading League. There's going to be a kickoff party that people and adults too, but kids can come and do some hero training, pick out their hero name and do all this to get ready for the summer reading program.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes, it'll be fun. I am a huge like Marvel fan and I love Batman, which is DC, which is weird that I like both, but I do. So we're doing quite a bit with that and then doing a big like block party community hero celebration at the end of summer to honor all of our local community heroes. So that's kind of what's going on with that. As far as programs, so this summer is a little different for me being an adult and teen programs. I'm also in charge of outreach. So I'm kind of scaling back a little bit because I've had such a busy winter and spring, but we're actually going to be doing a lot more. We're relaunching our summer bookmobile. So up until I think it was either 2018 or 2019, we haven't taken our bookmobile because we still have one out to public events. And so we're relaunching the bookmobile, which is really exciting to get out there. We'll be out in the public throughout the community. We're also doing a teen adult Stranger Things big event because we're just constantly waiting, anticipating for Netflix to release the Stranger Things final season date. We were predicting that it would be in the fall, but we're going to do that. And I'm really excited about it because it is for teens and adults 13 plus, but it's kind of like a large size scavenger hunt meets escape room. There's some Dungeons and Dragons elements in there. So I am really looking forward to that.
This sounds awesome and also a little terrifying.
So it's not nothing like really serious. Like there's some things throughout where you're like, oh, I need to roll a D20 to see how what my role is against this person, against the Demogorgon, or ultimately they're going to be trying to defeat Vecna to see if, they can do it. And it ends on a cliffhanger because we're all on a cliffhanger waiting for season 5. So there's literally everything. Just check out our calendar because that would be a whole hour conversation of everything going on currently.
Thank you very much. That all sounds fun. I'm going to have to get up to Jay County soon.
Yay!
Hannah Elliott leads the adult, teen, and marketing departments of the Jay County Public Library. More importantly, she's also the president of the Pop of Culture Book Club.
That interview with our resident reader, Stephanie Weekman, aired in May.
It's the time in the show where we ask artists, what are you working on? This week, we're listening back to our interview with Sara Collas.
We are here today with Dr. Sara Collas, who is an assistant teaching professor of sociology at Ball State University, as well as an assemblage artist, just to name a couple of the things Sara does. I would like to thank you for being here today, Sara.
Thank you.
And also, I want to ask you today one of our favorite questions, which is, what are you working on? And with you, I'm going to qualify that question to hone it into the visual arts for us.
Well, I'm working on creating cards with recycled materials, including the New Yorker, which I love to use their images. And I'm also doing collages or assemblages. I like how you pronounce it, though, Kara. Assemblages.
I was trying to be
That was
fancy.
I have to do that too. Which I do collages on recycled materials, including old card boxes, any recycled material, really.
Great. Where do you find these materials?
Well, my mother collected the New Yorker and other magazines for about 3 decades. And I've been collecting magazines also for about the last 2 decades. So I have a lot of material to work with. I didn't know that what I was doing for the last 20 years was called assemblages until I watched the documentary called Women Art Revolution in Canopy. And there was artist Betty Saar, an African-American artist who is 94, who has been doing assemblages for the last 7 decades. And I thought, wow, I've been doing this too. And I have actually assigned my students in my music and art and society class to do assemblages, which I really loved their projects.
And I know that you're a writer and you're an activist, so I would like to know what some of the issues are that spark your assemblage.
Well, I always want my collages to be inclusive of images of women, inclusive of images of LGBT people. I don't want the images only to be of white people. I want people of color in the images. So I really make an effort to be as inclusive as possible. I used to sell my art at the Cornerstone Center for the Arts, and I remember a young student noticed that all of the collages included images of African Americans, and that's important for my work.
Mm-hmm. I read that you teach about hip hop, and does that come into your collage work as well?
Yes, I do love images of celebrities, but and performers, musical performers, but I don't like using images that are fabricated in terms of makeup or these fake smiles. I really like images of people that aren't smiling, that are serious, not photoshopped, to the extent where you really lose the reality.
So when you talk about makeup, you're not talking about someone wearing makeup, are you? Are you talking about the manipulation through the computer
Yes,
of imagery?
the photo shoots or the photo
Photoshop?
shopping.
Okay. Interesting.
But in terms of how the sociology of hip hop class or course that I designed, again, I wanted to be inclusive, but I do like including some images of celebrities. And not for every collage or artwork, but definitely I'm drawn to celebrity, like a lot of people are right now.
What are what's some of the favorite things that you like to collage? We've talked.
Well, I had a commissioned work to create about 200 holiday cards for a well-known person,
Oh,
but I can't mention their name.
I won't press.
I did holiday cards, about, I think, 150. I thought, I'm going to finally get noticed for my artwork. One of these celebrities that received my collage card and envelope, they're going to commission me to do more work. And guess what happened? No one contacted me for further work. Darn it. I thought it would catapult me to stardom, and it didn't.
Well, let me ask you about your cards. I know you like to tackle social issues, and that is a foundational part of your person. But were these cards in that realm, or were they in a different zone?
I had to submit a test card, and I had included images of real people and what I thought represented a holiday theme. But the person who I was doing the work for wanted more kind of generic holiday images. So I went to the thrift store and bought some holiday images from books. But in terms of the societal issues, I did try to be inclusive of the holiday and cards, including images from Hanukkah, such as the menorah, images from Christmas, including images of Santa, reindeers. But as I said, the person who commissioned me to do this work didn't like the first sample I gave them.
Commissions are
Or
tough.
maybe they didn't. It's not that they didn't like them, but they wanted more holiday images.
Yeah. Commissions are a difficult thing. It's not something I've done a lot of because you really have to sometimes change track. Now, is there something else you want to tell us about today regarding your art?
My art has been really therapeutic. I began doing my collages when I would go visit my mother in Cleveland, Ohio, because as I said, she had hundreds of old New Yorkers, and she was also a prolific card writer. But she could talk for hours. And I would sit in the living room and listen to her, and I thought, I got to do something. And I started getting her card boxes that were empty and collaging them with her New Yorkers. And I began to give them as gifts, and 20 years later, I'm still doing it.
I can just imagine you doing that. And as she's speaking, what she's saying is working on your subconscious as you're collaging. Well, art makes our lives more beautiful every day. And thank you so much for making our afternoon a little brighter.
Well, thank you for this opportunity for me to share my art.
Kara, it is that time. It is time for the arts calendar. Are you ready? We've got a lot to cover.
I'm so ready.
All right, here we go.
Muncie Civic Theater presents Hairspray on the main stage through August 31st. Step into 1960s Baltimore with Broadway's Tony Award-winning musical and follow Tracy Turnblad as she fights for inclusion, equality, and a spot on her favorite Corny Collins TV dance show. Muncie Civic has the details. at munciecivic.org.
The Paramount Theater Center and Ballroom is presenting a showing of the beloved 1979 classic. Do you know what I'm going to say? I bet you don't. It's The Muppet Movie. Saturday, August 16th. The event starts at 1:30 p.m. with a pre-show organ concert by George Smith on the theater's grand page pipe organ. They're encouraging people to dress as their favorite Muppet.
Yes,
Costume
yes.
contest. I love this. And the Muppet Mayhem begins on the big screen at 2:30.
Oh my gosh, who would you dress as?
For sure, Kermit. Just because I may have a history when I was a child. I would get out my parents' old typewriter and I would put on a fedora that said press on it and I would pretend I was a reporter.
Nice.
Yeah. So Kermit. That's why I do what I do, is because of Kermit the Frog.
Dunkirk Glass Days is Saturday, August 16th. The one-day celebration includes fun activities for families, including food and retail vendors, live music, games, and more.
Falls Park in Pendleton is hosting a Sunday Fun Day on August 17th. The event from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. includes local vendors, food, and, of course, the beautiful park.
Kroger Symphony on the Prairie, Saturday, August 16th, will feature Fab Four, an award-winning Beatles tribute band. The guys will deliver note-for-note live rendition of Beatles classics such as Can't Buy Me Love, Yesterday, A Day in the Life, Twist and Shout, Here Comes the Sun, and Hey Jude. Symphony on the Prairie is at Connor Prairie in Fishers.
The 20th Indie Fringe Theater Festival is on through August 24th at various locations in Indianapolis. This 3-week celebration of the arts will feature more than 280 bold and cutting-edge performances and 70 unique shows by more than 400 performing artists across 6 stages. Yes, please. Yes, please. I'll take that and more. IndieFringe.org has your details. Oh, we have a quick update. The Muncie Three Trails concert scheduled for Saturday, August 16th, featuring Blue Moon Marquee, has been canceled.
We would love for you to let us know about great arts and culture happenings in the area. Go to indianapublicradio.org/contact. Then click Pop of Culture.
Support for Pop of Culture comes from you. You've probably heard that Congress has defunded public media. For Ball State Public Media, that's 40% of our funding, about $1.4 million. So if you value this program, created by and focused on folks in your community, then now's the time to step up. This show will not exist without you. Become a monthly donor now at indianapublicradio.org.
And that's our show. Our executive producer is Angie Rapp. This week was produced by Luke Jones, who's never lonesome with company. I'm talking about us, like Kara and myself.
No,
just us, right? Our show was hosted by me, Michelle Kinsey.
And me, Kara DuQuette. Pop of Culture is a production from IPR on the now bustling campus of Ball State University.